When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we're expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level, or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at advertise@k98talk.org. The leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election debts to those on the take. Attorney General's lying even while...
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks. Well, it's Wednesday. We've made it halfway through another week. A couple of more days to go. Of course, 4th of July was last week, so this week seems a little longer than usual because, you know, we got day off and things were closed and we got to blow things up and we got to celebrate the fact that we kicked the British's butt. And now here we sit, and it's just back to a regular old normal work week for a while. And all I can say about that is blah. That's right, I said it. Blah. Now, lots of stuff to talk about today. So much that I'm not sure we're going to be able to fit it all in the hour, but we're going to give it a shot anyway. So for those of you that might be listening on TuneIn or anywhere else where it actually doesn't give you the title of the show, today we're going to be discussing Trump, the 10 Commandments, the New York Stock Exchange, and oh, so much more. But I have a question real quick before we really get into the whole thing with the stock exchange. Was it a terror attack? Was it a cyber attack? Was it a glitch? I only ask because apparently Anonymous knew what was going to happen before we did. So how is it that all of these people and all of these government folks and all of these big suit types and everybody else can be like, oh no, there's no way it was a cyber attack. Really? Then why was it? I mean, come on. It was like Babe Ruth pointing at the fence. Anonymous was like, I wonder if tomorrow is going to be a bad day for the stock exchange. Right on their Twitter account. But it's not a cyber attack. I mean, dude, that's like I said, that's like reminiscent of Babe Ruth. He comes out, dusts off his shoes, points way off in the distance, right over to that corner of the fence and says, yeah, that's right, fellas, it's going right there. But the government, no, can't, no cyber attack, no terrorism, it's a glitch. If someone exploited the glitch, that's still a cyber attack. But it is a nice way to put things so that maybe people don't understand exactly what's going on. But see, me being an IT guy and doing computer work and all the things that I've done, in between the security work and the IT work and everything else, I'm really, really good at reading between the lines. And I call Bravo Sierra. Otherwise known as male bovine excrement, ladies and gentlemen, this was likely a cyber attack of some kind. Why else would a group like Anonymous have put something on their Twitter feed that says, yeah, just stock exchange coming up, here you go, brothers, right over the fence. Just saying, it makes no sense that the government thinks we're this stupid. Well, I'm sorry. They're used to people that voted for Obama twice, so maybe they do at this point think we're this stupid. Alright, so that's just the opener. We'll get to that a little bit more, go into a little more detail here in a bit. I just, again, lots to talk about. Grouchy's coming up after this one with the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. If you're not following him on Twitter, you're wasting your time, you're spinning your wheels. And then later tonight, right after that, we have According to Me with Jason DeWilkins. So I am the crappy opening act for two of the top shows right here on K98 Talk. So make sure you tune in for both of those gentlemen right after me. Of course, for Grouchy's show, I'll be running the board and then I have an appointment. So I think Daniel is producing for Jason tonight, but it should be entertaining. Actually, Jason, just to give the guy his props. For those of you that listen to me, if you're not listening to Jason, what the hell's the matter with you? I'm not going to be one of these guys that tells you that my show rocks, because I'm not like that. I have people that tell me that I do a really good job and that it seems like I've done radio for a very long time and that I'm professional and things work the way they're supposed to work and all of that stuff. You know what? That's great. But here's the thing. If you're listening to this show and you're not listening to folks like Grouchy and the Conservative Curmudgeon, you're not listening to Daniel Stafford, you're not listening to According to Me, then you are missing some of the best shows that people don't know about. And the thing about it is, these guys put so much work into theirs. I'm not saying that I don't work a lot. I'm not saying that I don't work hard on this. But I'm saying they have the time to devote. I have lots of other things that I have to get done. I do this show because I enjoy it. I do this show because it gives me a time to vent. And I think that I bring things to the table that some other hosts don't. So I'm going to continue to do the show. But I also want to make sure that you guys are aware of some of the shows that we have. And I also have to make an announcement. Now, this is against my wishes and against my better judgment, and with me basically being dragged along kicking and screaming. There have been some scheduling changes here. Some shows that are pending, some other shows that we're not sure about at this point. One of those is likely Politibunny's show. For those of you that have been following along, she has been undergoing some recent attacks on Twitter. I do believe at this point she has formally announced that she does not plan on returning. This is, of course, against my better judgment and against me trying to talk her out of it, because she's got a good show. She's got a great show. She gets lots of interaction. Hang on a second. I got to shut something off that I forgot about, apparently. All right, so there we go. Anyway, so that being said, I do not at this point anticipate the bunny returning to the airwaves. She wasn't planning on coming back until sometime probably late August, early September. So if I can talk her into doing it without actually having to twist her arm, then I'm still going to keep trying, folks, because it's just not going to be the same without her. But the attacks and everything else that's going on, she's leaning towards being done. So as the station programming director, I have to respect her decision, even if I don't like it. And even if I'm going to continue to bug her on Twitter and say, look, we can find a way to bring you back. We can make it happen. We have months to figure it out. I mean, come on. You're not even talking about coming back till the end of August. In radio speak, that's like 10 years. Can we just be real for a second? For those of you who don't do this every day, you're thinking, man, that's only like 7 weeks away. That's not very long. In radio speak, that's like 10 years. Because I'm telling you, I have aged like a year for every week I've done this show since I've started. Because of all the extra work and all the extra hours and all the hard time. But, you know, I do it because I like it. I do it because, you know, and Rod and I actually talked about this both when he was on my show and when he was on, or when I was on his show, the Liberty Cafe, that we actually carry here live on K98. Speaking of which, really great episode of that one coming up on Friday, so you want to make sure that if you aren't here for it to listen to it live, make sure you're hitting that Spreaker page. Go back and check it out because he's got a really great guest lined up. So you need to make sure that you're tuning in. Now, he and I have talked about this before. All of this for me started as blogging and Facebook pages because those were the mediums that I was familiar with. I know it doesn't seem like it now, but I'm a really quiet, shy guy, and it took me a while to come out of my shell enough to be able to do this. So what started it for me was being able to type, because I could type and get my point across much better than I could speak it and get my point across, until I actually just dove in and said, screw it, we're going to make this happen one way or the other. So that being said, this basically became a stress reliever for me, because at some point I started typing all these articles and working on these Facebook pages and trying to get people's attention, and one day I just felt like taking my keyboard and just banging it into my computer till they both exploded. That's when we came up with the idea for the talk shows, and the rest is history. But for those of you that are looking around and you don't know what to do about all of the things that we bring you here on K98, because let's face it, a lot of times when we're not talking good stuff. I wish we were. I wish we could give you sunshine, rainbows, lollipops, and tell you that everything was going to be okay. The problem is we don't live in that type of a world right now, and we'll be illustrating more about that as we continue to go on with today's show. But for those of you that aren't sure what to do and you don't know how to get involved, there's some really quick ways for you to find out. I encourage you to visit some of our partner sites. As you know, we have Red Nation Rising Radio that airs here every Thursday. Red Nation Rising has a website. If you think there's any way that you can help them contribute, feel free to do so. They actually have a Join Us section where you can kind of tell them what it is that you feel you would be able to contribute. So if nothing else, I would encourage you to get involved there. We also, if you happen to be someone who is looking to expand your business reach, and you happen to have something to do with weaponry or concealed carry classes or ammunition or anything like that, I strongly encourage that you check out concealandcarry.net. Sounds just exactly like I just said it. The word conceal, the letter N, and then the word carry.net. They happen to be one of our sponsors. They also have information from folks across all 50 states. So if you are looking to expand your business reach and you have a business that would fit their model, make sure you hit them up. If you're looking to be able to get some decent ammunition, better weaponry, more training, make sure you hit them up as well. Again, they have networks pretty much with all 50 states, so no matter where you're listening to my voice right now, except for those of you that listen overseas, and yes, I do know you're there. I know you're listening. Thank you for what you're doing right now. I'm just glad we're able to bring you this little piece of home. I don't do that often enough, and I'm probably going to start making a habit of that again, because I used to. Because we can see sometimes when we're getting stuff from overseas. It doesn't happen all the time, and it used to happen a lot more when I did the show really, really early on a Saturday morning. But since I moved to evenings, I don't get it as much. But I can still see you once in a while, and it looked like I had something pinging from out Middle East a minute ago. So I just want to say thanks to all of you tuning in over there. Keep everybody safe. Make sure you get to come home, and thank you for what you're doing. Now, that being said, again, there are plenty of ways that we are building for those of you that want to get involved but don't know how. That's part of what this network was started for, because I got tired of looking at the mess, looking at the news, and not having any idea what to do. Because everything has changed. I don't know about you guys, but I'm 42 years old. I don't recognize this country compared to how it was when I was a kid. There are some things that's a good thing to say, and there are others where it's very, very bad. One of the ones that's very, very bad is one of the ones that we'll be talking about when we come back from break here in just a second, but we are going to have to go ahead and take one of those real quick. I didn't realize I had already been prattling on for this long. All right, folks, as we go to break, I have a question. Are you in the market for a dependable used vehicle? Because if so, I know somewhere you need to check out today. They're located in Pryor, Oklahoma. It is Roberts Auto Chevy, Roberts Auto Dodge, and Roberts Ford Lincoln. They're, again, located in Pryor. They have over 2,000 vehicles available between the three lots. And if they don't have what you're looking for, they can and will find it for you if possible and still give you the best deal available. Call Ryan today at 918-693-2866. Again, that's Ryan, 918-693-2866. And tell him Rick from K98 Talk sent you, and they'll even give you a better deal. Can't beat that, folks. We'll be right back.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve, as they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve to live full and independent lives, even when there's no government funding or a nursing home seems like the only option. We won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Join us at findwwp.org.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
For our own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom, lest you pray to Jesus Christ. The press is in our pockets cause there's no longer free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality, respect for faith.
All right, folks, we're back. We're live. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. Might as well consider this the new home of the American Rebellion. I'm just saying, because at this point, we are in trouble if we don't change things and we don't change them quickly. All right, so, as promised, pretty much when I can remember to make sure we cue it up, anytime we go to break or come back from break, you're going to randomly hear the horn from the General Lee from the Dukes of Hazzard. Why? Because it pisses off liberals. Another reason why? Because I like the show. Don't really care. All right, so that being said, back to what we were talking about before we went on break. And what we were talking about before we went on break is this interesting little story about the group Anonymous and a tweet that they put out last night about, I wonder if tomorrow, and basically this is a quote, I wonder if tomorrow is going to be bad for the New York Stock Exchange. We can only hope. So all of the news stories and everything start coming out about trading being suspended and some sort of a glitch, and the government comes out and says, yeah, no, nothing to see here, move along, folks. I beg to differ. You're trying to tell me that there's not a problem here when a group basically told us ahead of time there was going to be a problem, but it wasn't anything that we should be concerned about because there's no possible way that it was terrorism or a cyber attack. Because that's basically what we're being spoon-fed. I tell you again, if the government is telling you one thing, most likely what they're telling you is a lie. I know. Maybe I should have brought the tinfoil hat today, but I didn't get to do a show yesterday. We had a bunch of stuff going on in the space that I use as a studio, and there was all kinds of other things going on yesterday, and issues with scheduling and trying to get things worked out from another couple of folks that I'm trying to get connected with to see about bringing shows over here. And there was just so much going on yesterday. So I have a lot of pent-up frustration. Now, I think we've kind of talked this topic enough to death because at this point I'm just going to tell you flat out, honestly, don't believe what the government's telling you when it comes to this particular New York Stock Exchange incident because they're full of crap. Now, that being said, I have something I want to play to you play for you that I found out about today as I was prepping, and then I want to play or talk a little bit about this clip. Then I want to play something that I think maybe we have forgotten about, because it just doesn't make any sense to me, and I'll explain it in a minute. The first part's really short, about 48 seconds. Then I'll explain why I played it, and then we'll play something just to kind of fire up everybody's Wayback Machine so they can remember something here in a second. Sorry, got distracted. My little co-host, the rescue dog, is eating behind me, and she's like crunching like crazy. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not.
I appreciate the mayor's confidence in me. I will be brief this afternoon. My focuses for the future are really pretty simple. It's all about the crime fight, and it's all about the relationship with our community. And the relationship with our community needs to be one of service. So as we focus on the crime fight, particularly on violent repeat offenders, as we focus on the necessary relationships that we need to have with our community, it's not an enforcement relationship, it's a service relationship. And as we focus on the relationship that must exist with the rank and file men and women of the Baltimore Police Department, I promise the mayor, I promise the city that I will give it my best going forward. Baltimore deserves nothing less.
All right, so that's basically the end of that little snippet of Oppressor. Basically, what happened today is the Baltimore mayor has fired the police commissioner, Anthony Batts, amid a spike in the recent homicide rates in Baltimore. Now, I want to play you something. Let's fire up the Wayback Machine. Let's go back a couple of months and give this a listen. And then everybody can kind of scratch their heads like I am when I wonder why all of a sudden there's a spike.
The conversation before. And I've made it very clear that I worked with the police and instructed them to do everything that they could to make sure that the protesters were able to exercise their right to free speech. It's a very delicate balancing act because while we tried to make sure that they were protected from the cars and the other things that were going on, we also gave those who wished to destroy space to do that as well. And we worked very hard to keep that balance and to put ourselves in the best position to de-escalate, and that's what you saw.
All right, so I think we can cut that part out there because, of course, she goes on later in the clip to walk back what she just said. But let me tell you something. Having been someone who's been in a command decision where you have folks that you have to put in harm's way on a daily basis. Now, some of you are laughing right now because it was while I was running a private security firm and a private investigations firm. But I'm telling you, there were times that we had to deal with some pretty bad situations. I actually got shot at more doing that. I actually had to break up more fights doing that. I actually had to deal with more stupid crap with apartment complexes doing that. There are things that everybody makes fun of when it comes to the security industry, but let me tell you, just as a parallel, someone who's had to deal with making people understand that, yes, I'm paying you to do a job, and I'm paying you to put yourself between them and harm's way in some instances. When you have a mayor who was supposed to be your boss as the police chief, basically tell you, and you can't tell me that you didn't say nearly the same thing behind closed doors. I don't care who you are, I will argue that point till the cows come home, because if she said this in public, I guarantee you she said much worse in private. As a sitting police chief, when you realize that your mayor no longer has your back, what are you supposed to tell your folks to do that are under your command, that are dependent upon you and the decision makings of those, the decision making processes of those under you, when you know that your mayor no longer has your back? You do exactly what they did in Baltimore. They take a step back and they wait and they watch. And they stay out of the areas where they know they're being targeted because they don't have a choice anymore, because the mayor blatantly said in that clip, we were going to give the folks who wanted to room to destroy. Now, I didn't let the rest of the clip play, but if you've listened to the show, you've heard it before. The next bit is a redress where a reporter asks her about that, and she becomes angry over the question instead of saying, look, things sometimes come out wrong when you're doing live TV and live radio. That was not exactly what I meant to say. Because at first, I was honestly trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. Because you don't know how stressful it is. I mean, dude, the first time I looked down and I saw that we had like 100 and some odd people listening, I about fell out of my chair. I can imagine what it's like to go onto a TV station and realize that you have thousands of people tuning in. So I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. I really, really did. And then she got angry. Now, of course, this new police chief, according to the article that I actually pulled this audio from, is going to focus more on rebuilding community relations, blah, 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 gotta make sure that things are safer for the people, yada, yada, yada. In other words, he's going to be another pencil-pushing milquetoast who's not going to do what the officers under his command need him to do, which is make people understand that cops are not in the business of winning friends. They're in the business of enforcing the law. Now, that being said, I am very disappointed with this trend that I have noticed lately about a lot of the local police departments becoming revenue funnels for their cities. It's not what they were intended for. That's one of the first things that we honestly, seriously need to fix, is the fact that the police department is not meant to be a cash machine for the cities that they work for. They're meant to make sure that the public that they serve is safe. We're moving away from that. This is what happens when you move from a free market, actual free market, not in the bad sense of the word that all the liberals use it, but an actual free market capitalist society to an oligarchical society, because everything becomes about feeding the beast, which is the government. Every dime has to be used to feed the beast, which is the government. This is why we have police departments that are technically breaking the law, but there's nothing anybody can do about it. We have officers that I know of in certain towns south of here that shall remain nameless, who have been instructed to sit at certain intersections during their off-duty time, in uniform, in cars, and write seatbelt tickets, and write as many of them as they can find. And why do they do that? Because it's a $25 ticket. Who the hell's going to fight a $25 ticket? But you grab 10 of those in an hour, that's $250 that the city gets to keep. You get 10 to 20 officers doing that in their off time. That's 20 hours at 10 a pop. It just is an average. That's 200 tickets times $25. And that's a small average. Because even the counties around here have gotten into that game. And that's because they have realized that the police department that used to be made fun of in the Dukes of Hazzard is basically everywhere now. There's speed traps, seatbelt traps, there's unmarked cars, so you can't... I saw a meme floating around a while ago that illustrated the difference between police cars in the United Kingdom and the police cars here. You can't even tell that a lot of the police cars around here are police cars until they light you up. And that is intentional because they get more money that way. I have a problem with that. I am a capitalist. Do not get me wrong. I am a capitalist, and if I can find a way to make money, then I'm going to do it. But I'm not going to do it by basically being as devious as humanly possible. Speaking of devious as humanly possible, seems like a pretty good segue to our next topic, except, unfortunately, it looks like it is actually about time for my last break of the show. So we shall return right after these few messages right here, folks. This is Rick Robinson. You are listening to America Off the Rails. I'll be right back with you after we pay a couple of bills.
these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
There's a wild, wild whisper blowing in the wind, calling out my name like a long lost friend.
Hey everybody, this is Jason, host of According to Me. I'd like to invite you to check out my show. It's a 2-hour show that lasts 60 minutes in. Listen, I hate to interrupt, but one thing I can do is read off a script. Just say, let me be clear a lot. It works. President Obama, I can handle this. It's a radio. I'm not green. I've done this before. Did someone say green? Now, Al Gore is here. Listen, I'm just trying to record a radio promo. Do you mind? Now, do you say good things about me on the show? No, not at all. But if it makes you feel any better, I rip on Republicans just as much. The AM radio frequencies give off very high levels of radiation. Look, my show is on the internet, which you invented. Can I just do my promo? I got a pen. I can veto that, you know. I know you got a pen. It's not a law. It's a radio promo. Listen, just listen to my show. Barack Obama and Al Gore hate it, so you're going to love it. Here's an executive order. Don't listen to his show. He doesn't like me. He's racist. And he doesn't recycle either. That's it. I'm done. It's According to Me, Wednesdays.
It's actually at 9 p.m. Eastern now, not 10, so going to cut off that last little bit there. All right, folks, we're going to get right back to the programming here in just a second. I just want to play something because I have not done it in quite a while, so bear with me for just a second while I find something here. Except I can't find it. All right, you know what? Never mind. We got to get back to the show anyway. So, bear with me for a second. We'll get back on track here. It's been one of those days. Tried to do something and it didn't work out the way I thought it was going to. Alright, so yeah, not that I haven't been talking for the last 5 seconds, but I guess we're back. We're live, yeah! America Off the Rails. Woohoo! America Off the Rails. Sometimes you ride the train, other times the train rides you. This appears to be one of those episodes where the train may actually wind up riding me. Okay. So, lots of stuff going on, and we were kind of getting into what may wind up being rather monumental stupidity by the time it's all said and done. And don't get me wrong, because what I'm about to play is going to... or about to talk about is probably going to annoy some of you. But I want to play something real quick, and it's not anything recent. It's for all the folks that are all over Donald Trump for what he's saying this year while he's running for president. It's not like his story and his stance on this stuff has changed very much. This is a speech from a year ago, or at least a pretty good snippet of it, and then I'll talk to you about what I wanted to talk about with this one. Because this is actually affiliated with a liberal show, not one that we do, but he makes some pretty good tirades, so while I'm not going to give him any airtime, I do want to kind of talk about some of the points that he makes.
Everyone's beating us. Everybody's taking our jobs. By the way, Mexico, name you don't hear too much, right? You don't hear. Mexico, Mexico. Mexico is just beating us so badly. They're taking tremendous number of jobs out of this country. And this is going to be a big problem because in the next 4 or 5 years, another prediction, you will see Mexico just draining us for jobs, just draining us. Now, a lot of problems with immigration, but either you have a country or you don't. I mean, it's very simple. You either have a country or you don't have a country. If people... Now, you have to come up with a humane solution to people that have been here for many years and they've raised their children and all that, and they're productive people. But we have a lot of unproductive people that are bad people, and we got to get them the hell out. We have to...
Unproductive, bad people.
All right, so I guess I didn't do a very good job editing that, because that's the liberal host of another show that was going to rail against Donald for a second. But, you know, the interesting thing, and I keep hearing this a lot, is everybody gets all pissed off when Donald Trump says things about illegal immigration. Now, let me tell you why I have an issue with Donald Trump's stance on illegal immigration, and then I'll tell you why I still think he's right, even though, in my opinion, he's a hypocrite. How many illegal immigrants does he hire? If the answer was 0, I could see his point. But you and I both know that's not the case. There's actually a big story brewing about how the mainstream media is about to try to throw him over the yardarm and point out the fact that the guy that's screaming the loudest about our immigration problem is also one of the ones taking full advantage of our immigration problem. If he survives that, I don't know. I do hope, regardless, he stays in the race. I don't know if he's going to win. I do like what he's saying, even if I do think he's being a mite hypocritical, because everybody knows that one of the biggest things that he was talking about there is the fact that our jobs are being removed. That is in large part thanks to NAFTA and now what will likely become the TPP. Too many conservatives didn't wake up to the problems with the TPP until it was too late. Too many establishment Republicans want the TPP, and they also want illegal immigration because they want the cheap jobs. Now, Chris Matthews, Mr. Tingles, you may occasionally hear him speaking on my commercial. I try not to play that during my own show because I have people that complain enough when Hillary talks. But Tingles is the one that does it for me. I cannot stand that guy. It's like nails on a chalkboard. But it fits, so I had to use it. But anyway, so he's finally come out and said that even he understands that the main reason the Democrats want either illegal immigration or even to a point of immigration reform, if they can find a way to pull it off, is because they know that they're going to get the votes. The same thing happened to Reagan in the 80s. He was the one that signed it. He was the one that got to tout it. The Democrats got all the credit. Because who the hell knows? But there's this whole thing that's been going around the internet for a while now, that if you have white skin, you can't be concerned about illegal immigration, because after all, we are immigrants ourselves. Not disputing the fact of that, I am, however, going to dispute the premise. Because I've made the case before, and I'm going to make it again. The reason we have the immigration laws that we have is to make sure that nothing like what happened to the Native Americans can ever happen again. And if we throw that out the window, that is exactly what is going to happen to us. We're going to get so many people coming over that eventually we're going to be wiped out one way or the other, because we're not going to be able to control it anymore. You can make fun of our immigration policies. You can make fun of the reason why the laws were passed. You can say that we're being a bunch of hypocrites because there was no immigration when we came over here and took the country from the Native Americans. But the simple fact of the matter is, at some point in our history, we woke up, we realized that we did something completely, monumentally bad to an entire race of people, and we wanted to make sure that those type of things could not happen here again. Now at some point, because everything has gone topsy-turvy and everything is all about feelings rather than logic, we now have to deal with the fact that all of these people and all of these things, and now we have to deal with the fact that we have all of these people that are like, oh, well, you can't talk about immigration because you are, you're white. Let me tell you why I can talk about immigration even though I'm white. Because it matters. It matters how people come over here. Now, everybody can talk about Trump, and everybody can talk about the fact that he said, "Oh, look, all Mexicans are evil." He went on later in that speech to talk about what he actually meant. He is not a polished and practiced politician. Now, if you want to continue to give him crap about it, hey, more power to you, because like I said, he's being hypocritical because he hires immigrants. Illegal and otherwise, but yet he's railing against illegal immigration. Doesn't make any sense to me to take the stance. I'm glad that somebody is saying it, even if I wish it was somebody that actually had a leg to stand on when it came to the illegal immigration process. But there's somebody that's still saying it. So that's a good thing. That's a great thing, because somebody is actually standing up and saying, look, at this point, we have a problem. We have a very large problem. And I enjoy the fact that he's basically giving the liberal media the finger. And let me let him tell you exactly why and how he can give the liberal media the finger.
$8,737,540,000.
That's why Donald Trump doesn't give a damn what anybody says about him. Because like him, love him, hate him, think he's going to be the best president ever, think he's going to be the worst president ever, he is already a self-made man who has all of the money that he needs. And so when the media wants to attack him, all he's got to do is say F you because of this.
$8,737,540,000.
Now, again, I don't know if he has a snowball's chance in hell. I do know that according to some recent polls, and I believe it was North Carolina, he has now surpassed Mr. It's time to make the donuts, otherwise known as Chris Christie. Or no, hang on, I'm sorry. Jeb Bush was number one, now he's number two. I don't know where Christie is in the equation, but we don't need another Bush. But of course, Bush is the media darling. But yeah, we really don't need one of those. Alright, sorry, I had to answer a host who's coming on after everybody else just to make sure that we were on the same page. Okay, so, anyway, Donald Trump. Like him, hate him, his message hasn't changed. He's been pretty consistently railing against the border and everything else for quite some time. And let me tell you my problem with the border. Let me tell you my issue with all of it. The simple fact of the matter is, with this whole amnesty thing, that, the executive order amnesty thing, played the clip before, Saturday Night Live, killed the president over it. I may actually start playing it again once in a while just because it makes me chuckle. But the issue is, if you really want to stop and think about it, everybody talks about what Obama is basically doing with the Constitution and how he's either using it as a birdcage liner, using it to wipe his own behind. I submit to you, and I actually found this thanks to a gentleman by the name of Nate Shoop. I never have asked him how his name is actually pronounced. But anyway, I follow him on Twitter. Not sure if he follows me back, but he has a nice little picture of Obama, ironically enough, standing in an open space on a border fence, which we don't technically have, but putting out the welcome mat, which happens to be the Constitution of the United States. Which is basically what we're doing now, because he has been ordered to stop with his amnesty. You know what he's doing instead? Telling people with the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Division to stop enforcing laws. Now, I've heard the pros, I've heard the cons, I've heard O'Reilly, I've heard all of these people that have all these different perspectives when it comes to the things that Donald Trump is saying and about how he oversimplified it. He may painted with too broad a brush. He shouldn't have said that it was all Mexicans. What he should have said is when the Mexican government allows people to cross their border, they're not making sure that we get their best. Because that is ultimately one of the parties that we should be blaming here. Because let's face it, up until recently, and I've heard rumor that they've reinstated them again, but they used to have armed guards on their southern border, but we're not allowed to do that. Let that sink in for a second. This is one of the things that has pissed me off from the second that I got old enough to understand what the hell was going on. You're telling me that as a country, every other country in the world can defend their borders however they see fit, but we have to leave ours wide open. And I know. Some of you are like, but Rick, open borders. It works in Europe. Look at where it works. Really small countries. It's like everybody always points to places like Denmark and stuff with all their socialism. It works really great because nobody else can get in there. They have strict population controls. They have strict immigration laws. That's why their program works. If we institute some sort of weird socialist crap, now we're going to collapse. You know why we're going to collapse? Because there's no money. I mean, come on. China used to buy our debt like crack, and they don't even do it anymore. Our U.S. Treasury, our Fed's been printing money for forever. I really wish I had the option to do that. I wish when a bill came in the mail that I could not afford, I'd be like, wife comes in, oh my God, what are we going to do? We've got to pay this electric bill and it's ginormous. Hang on a second, honey, I'm going to go fire up the laser jet. We'll get that taken care of. Hang on, just right now. This whole country is in a mess. And everybody's in a tither because somebody said something stupid. The simple fact of the matter is, yes, he misspoke. But it's not wrong. I hear all of these people talking about how not all illegal immigrants are criminals. Let that sit and sink in just for a second. Not all illegal immigrants are criminals. Maybe that's why they stopped using the word illegal to describe them. Anybody wonder about that? Because I sure do. Because last I checked, we have laws. We're supposed to be enforcing them. We have an administration who repeatedly tells people to ignore the laws that they're supposed to be enforcing. This administration, namely this president, took an oath to uphold the laws and the Constitution of the United States of America, yet is willfully and dutifully telling people to disobey them. How is that not treason? Somebody please explain to me how someone who is sworn to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, which is the ultimate representation of the law of the land, can willfully tell people that they don't have to enforce laws that are on the books, and somehow that is not breaking his oath of office. Let me tell you how. Because if a conservative was doing this crap, he would have already been impeached. Or worse. Alright, so last couple of minutes of the show, want to take everything to a local level just for a second, because for the last couple of days, the whole Ten Commandments debate has been railing and ranting and raving right here home again, thanks to the recent ruling of the Oklahoma Supreme Court that decided the monument needed to be removed. If you want to know my full stance on it, you can actually go back and find the episode in the archives titled Separation of Church and State. I actually spend most of the show talking about that. And something that I agree with, which I don't say this very often about our governor, even though I have gotten to meet her in person, and she does seem like a really great lady. A lot of times when she does things, I don't agree with them. I happen to agree with her here. I know, a lot of you, well, that's because you're a Christian, Rick, and you got to understand separation church and state, blah, 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 blah. That doctrine doesn't exist. It is an amalgamation of letters that took place while the Constitution was being written, and people have used that to imply that what the Founding Fathers wanted was a strict separation of the church and the state. What the Constitution actually says is that Congress shall not establish a religion. That means they will not do what the King in England did, which is make a brand new religion based on making him some sort of a part of that religion, or him only being allowed to enforce the parts of the religion that he found necessary for control. So, for all of you that are like, we can't do that because of separation of church and state, blah, 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 blah. Wrong answer. I had the same conversation on one of our Facebook pages yesterday. I keep having it brought up over and over again about how the Ten Commandments were influenced by the Code of Hammurabi and blah, 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 blah. Look, it doesn't matter. The simple fact of the matter is, whether you want to admit it or not, a lot of those commandments were the basis for our legal system. And I know there's already somebody doing it. You're going to send me the email with the wiki links that talks about how British laws were basically started as common laws, and that it was a bunch of people that got together and agreed on this uniform code. But again, where did they get the idea of it from? Why do we have laws against murdering people? Why do we have laws against stealing people or stealing from people? Because there's these little tablets that some Jewish guy carved out after he went and rocked out a little bit on a mountain and talked to a burning bush. Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure most of that stuff happened. So instead, now we have all of these people that are up in arms because the governor's saying, look, I don't care what the state Supreme Court says. This monument should stay. I happen to, for once, agree with her. And actually, thanks to the fact that I have a card of one of her contacts, we'll be reaching out to her over the next couple of weeks to see if she, actually probably some point later next week, to see if she wants to come on and explain exactly why she made that decision, so that everybody can hear it directly from her. Not sure if we're going to get her, but we're going to try. Now, at this point, we are winding down. Don't forget, here in just a little bit, we're going to be right back with you live with the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. And after that, we have According to Me, hosted by Jason DeWilkins, live back-to-back-to-back, 3 of the top radio shows right here on K98 Talk for conservatism that are all carried live and not rebroadcasted from other places. Do have a lot of that, too. So make sure you guys are tuning in, because we got a lot going on. Lots of things coming, lots of new changes, lots of new shows in the works, lots of folks that we're negotiating with to try to see if we can carry them. Other folks have just reached out to me today. Some of you, if you're listening, you know who you are. Yes, I have your email. Yes, I will get back to you when I can. It's been a pretty busy week. All right, so as a reminder, places you can find yours truly. Facebook. Search Rowdy Ricky Robinson. Send me a friend's request. We'll hook up. We'll talk. We'll chat. We'll hang out. It'll be fun. You can also follow me on Twitter. double_R_OKC. You can also find me as far as the show. This particular show does have its own Android app. Place quotation marks around the title, America Off the Rails. Download the app. Take it anywhere you want to go. You can find the show by using the Spreaker app. Feel free to download that one if you prefer. You can also find this particular show on TuneIn Radio anytime the station is live. We are submitting for our own TuneIn feed as well, just to make sure that there's another way that you can find us. You can find the entire K98 Talk lineup on iTunes. Just search K98 Talk. Everything should pull up. You can find the entire schedule for the station on K98Talk.org, our companion station, our companion site to our main website, which is K98Talk.com. Also, we're starting to add show pages over there. Gonna have some bios about the authors, start maybe tying into some of their blogs, so lots of interesting things going on there as well. And biggest news Still waiting on them to be delivered, but we have been confirmed for sponsors, and those spots will be coming soon. So yes, sadly, occasionally you will have to listen to commercials. We will try to keep them to a minimum, but we're going to try to play as many of them as we can to make sure that we keep getting to bring you this great content. And at some point, those of us that are killing ourselves to do this for you actually might be able to see a little bit of money. Now, at this point, one last couple of things to go over. Don't forget, if you missed the show live, you can always check it out on any of the things that we've talked about already. This show is also carried 4 a.m. Pacific time on SHR Media, which would be 6 Central, and also available AMFM247.com every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 Eastern. And now our newest affiliate, and one of the ones that I am the most proud of, Red State Radio, now carries this show, 1 show a week, bright and early Sunday morning at 6 o'clock. So if you're missing it, there's plenty of ways for you to be able to find it. If you like it, and make sure you tell your friends, because at this point, I'm sorry, I just want to take over the world of radio. Can I be honest just for a second? That's really what I want to do. You know, I'm having my peaky in the brain moment because I'm all excited because of the sponsors and everything else that's finally coming into play. And at some point, I don't necessarily want to rule the whole world, but I would like to rule the airwaves. I need your help to do that. So if you like what we're doing here, whether it's my show, somebody else's show, you know, just spread the word. K98 Talk, it's the place to be. Make sure you're tuning in. Make sure you're checking stuff out. Especially if you like alternate views, because we have all kinds of programming here. We've modeled as much as we can after an actual AM terrestrial station. So there are times when the stuff we're playing isn't political. There's times when it's left of center. There's times when it's right of center. There's times when it's libertarian. There's times when it's tinfoil hat. There's times when it's coast-to-coast AM style. I mean, we've got a little bit of everything here, so just make sure that you're checking it all out. All right, folks, well, that is going to do it for this particular episode, I do believe, so I am about to bid you adieu as soon as I find the music that I am looking for, because it's the one thing that I failed to load into the deck. Isn't that always the way it goes? Blah. Alright, there it is. Computer finally responded to me. You ever have one of those days where even you think oh yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow though. I did find something over the weekend on Twitter that I thought was hilarious, and I keep forgetting to talk about it, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Alright, folks, I'm out of here. I gotta make room for the Grouchy one coming up next, otherwise he'll be yelling at me for the first 15 minutes of his show. We'll be back with you live tomorrow night, right here on K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network. And don't forget, Grouchy coming up next, and according to me, take care, folks.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.